Namaste everyone and welcome back. So it's a new year, we're in the beginning of February, you have some fresh goals, and maybe one of those goals is to deepen a yoga practice, or maybe begin one, and you've decided to take that practice at home. And that could be for various reasons. Maybe you're a busy mom and just trying to get to a yoga class is just too challenging, or maybe you're a little intimidated by a studio class. Whatever it is, in today's video, I am going to go over some tips to keep you consistent and staying on schedule for that yoga practice. We are going to go over equipment. What do you need to bring it home? And some tips of how to create a sacred space within your home. If you're new here, I'm Stephanie. I am a yoga and cacao teacher. I'm a mom to two, and I help moms find time for self-care. I love to throw in self-care practices like journaling, oracle cards, of course the practice of yoga, and some cacao chats. So welcome. All right, so let's start to break it down a little bit. So obviously the pandemic has really shifted and changed for a lot of us how we access everyday things, and self-care is definitely a part of that. I became a yoga teacher 2.5 years ago, and I always enjoyed doing yoga at home. I never found that a yoga studio really fit my needs. Maybe I didn't feel 100% comfortable. And even the space itself, I don't know, just didn't quite fit. So when I became a teacher 2.5 years ago, shortly after I graduated, the world kind of turned upside down and we were forced to stay indoors. And for the first time, I really found supportive, nourishing self-care all online. And I really began this deep self-care journey. And much of what I picked up along that way is now what I show to you all. So I'll have more on my story of why the virtual route, why I kind of stuck to it even after the world seemed to somehow come back to normal. But let's kind of get into these tips, the equipment, and how you can create a space. So first, equipment. And this is what's so great about bringing yoga into your home is it requires very little space and very little equipment compared to a full home gym. So of course, some of the things that you're going to want to make sure that you have is a yoga mat. And this is another reason why I kind of like doing yoga at home is I just have certain things that I really like and certain colors I really like. They make me excited to get on my mat and move. So yoga mat, of course, and there's a variety. You can go from the eco-friendly all the way up to just the ones that you really like. The things that I think you want to really look for is that the mat is not too thick. Most yoga mats are quite thin. This one's nice because it has a nice rubbery back so the mat won't slip around. So you want to make sure that you don't hurt yourself. So finding a mat with a nice rubber back would be helpful, and something that's not too thick. You want to feel really grounded with your feet against the floor beneath you. So pick a color, have some fun with it. And this is a form of self-care, picking out something that makes you feel really happy. And when you see it laid out on the ground, it makes you want to get in there and do some yoga. So I want to get a yoga mat. And I will discuss a tip that I have if you have sensitive knees. A lot of yoga mats now are quite thin, and I'll share a little tip of how to help ease up that a little bit. And of course, yoga blocks, foam yoga blocks. I just don't think every yogi should have one. I use one all the time. 2 if you can, but definitely 1. In my classes, I teach a lot of modifications and use and show blocks, and they will transform your yoga practice and allow you to maybe work on some of those poses that you have a little trouble getting a little deeper, and they'll help to assist you. I think it's a great reminder that we all need support. No matter where we're at in our lives, we need support. So get yourself a yoga block, and 2 if you can, and you can find them just about anywhere, all different price points. So that tip for your knees. So let's say you got sensitive knees, a towel, bath towel, or maybe a fun blanket that you like. I have a ton of blankets over there on my wall that are fun and vibrant, and sometimes I'll use them if my knees are bothering me a little bit. So you can just roll that up, tuck it. You can even just take your yoga mat and just fold the edge during class and just make it a little thicker. That's another option as well. So anyway, so that's the basic equipment that you're gonna want. Yoga mat and a block. Towels for your knees. Sometimes people will use straps. There's bolsters, you can use a pillow. There's so many things, but generally for me, if you're gonna watch me and you're gonna be a part of my journey along with me, definitely a yoga block and a yoga mat will just suffice. So now creating the space that you're gonna do it in. So this is a challenge, obviously, and depending on where you are at, you have young children at home, and if you do have young children at home, just letting you know, one day they do grow up. They don't need you as much. That's just the phase I'm in. My children now are both in school full time, and it's freed up a lot of a little extra space. They're not kind of into everything like they used to. So I can create a space. And of course I teach yoga at home virtually here. So I have a little corner here in my living room that I teach out of. And I also use for my own personal self-care practices and yoga practices. So let's just say you don't have a lot of space, okay? Or you have young kids where they're just gonna get into things. I think you should at least try to designate an area in the room that you're gonna go and do your yoga practice every day. So that can be in your bedroom, maybe where you shut the door. Maybe the kids are just too young and you're gonna have to do it in the living room, but pick the place that you know you can do it every day and feel like you've come home a little bit. So kind of start to poke around a little bit at what space feels that for you. And some items that you can have along with you are simple things like a candle that you can just light at the end of your yoga mat. Music is beautiful. You can have an incense, Palo Santo or sage that you can just sage the room. You can do things like pictures of your family. Even, I teach journaling here. We journal a lot. Getting a journal that you love. This is another great way to find self-care. Go to the store, poke around, take a few minutes and find something that you really love. That can be at the edge of your yoga mat. So that way after your class, you can maybe journal what came up for you. So you can keep it really, really simple. And now if you want to create a little space that is always there, like a little altar space, go ahead and do that. So I'm just gonna sneak over here. So I have a pretty big altar with all of the things that I love, but I have a few pieces that I really, really enjoy to have with me when I flow. So if I decide that I don't want to be in this area, maybe I want to step over here in the sun, I have things that are portable. So maybe a basket or something with a lid that you can kind of tuck away and then pull out and be mobile. But if you are like me, maybe your kids are a little older and you're like, no, you know what? I got this corner in my bedroom that could be all mine. I have this corner in my sunroom, wherever it is, and you want to create a little altar. So basically the altar space is just all the things that you really love and things that really resonate for you. So play around, have fun with it. Now, some tips that may help you to kind of stay on track, because yoga is a practice and it is something that we live. And my 2 suggestions is to pick a time and even length of time that really is conducive for you. Not everyone has an hour every day that they can devote to a practice, and that is okay. That's the beautiful thing about yoga, is you could take 10 minutes and just do some breath work or 10 minutes of movement. And here in this channel, that's what I hope to do, is give you those spaces to just find a great self-care practice and yoga practice that doesn't need to take a lot of time. Now, of course, if you have that full hour, go ahead and enjoy that. So really looking at the time of day that works the best and a length of time, and write it in your calendar. So amidst all of the crazy things that are going on between this one and this sport and this one and that activity or doctor appointment, you see that you are in there. And that can be really, really powerful in beginning a self-care practice. We put the needs of so many others above our own. So when we start to see our name written down on the calendar, it holds us accountable, and it really shows our families how important this time is for us. So I hope that those tips helped to get you rolling on a yoga practice. So make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. So many more videos will be coming out soon so we can move and flow together and enjoy some self-care. And comment below, what are some of the things that you would love in your altar space, in your yoga space? Or maybe you already have one, and what are some of the things that you really like to have in that space? Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.